What's going on, listeners? Welcome to the latest episode of Can I Kick It FC. This is your host, as always, Elliot Barr, and is joining me is the coolest supporters group, not only in MLS, not only in DC, but in women's soccer. It is the Rose Room Collective, and today joining me is Reese and Doug. How are you guys doing today?
Pretty good.
I'm all right. How about yourselves?
I am tired as crap. I'm tired.
I felt that.
Look, being a teacher and Christmas break, I tell everyone all the time, like between Thanksgiving to right around my birthday, that is January, no date exists. It's just sun up, sundown, and we just keep this thing going.
That's literally how retail life is. Like sun up, sundown. I go to work, I come home. That's it.
I've like
Don't
come
talk
to
to me
realize.
till February.
Right.
I've come to realize. Do I even have an off season? Is that a thing? I don't even think so.
No, definitely not. If you're involved in soccer at any point past
There's
just being
no
a casual
off-season.
fan, there is no such thing as a off season because you have supporters group end of the year meetings, you have TIFO meetings, you have front office meetings. If you do a podcast, you got off season shows. It's nonstop. It is nonstop.
Oh, God. Yeah, we're in year one. I think we're finding out the hard way what that's like.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
It's so exhausting. Like what?
It's like a whole nother job that you don't get paid for. You're just like, why?
Right. You're doing this for free, your own free will.
Right.
The love of the game. It's a lot of that shit to power us through this.
No
Well,
lie.
well, I mean, let me ask you guys this: like, can you just explain to the listeners what is Rose Room Collective? How does the idea get started? What's the roots of this whole organization? Things like that. Whoever wants to start.
Riss, you want to go?
I'll
or?
let Doug go because you kind of like brought this to me.
Sure. Long story short, Aaron Bland was the person that originally had kicked around the idea of doing a supporter group a while back. We kept that idea in the back burner, and then summer of 2020 happens, and we revisited that idea and thought, why not do something for non-white supporters here in this area? Because we already had been aware of groups like Black Fires, Featherstone Flamingos, Tigers. Those were the groups that like really inspired me to kick around this idea. And Aaron was all in on it, so we thought, all right, let's fucking go for it. Question, are we allowed to curse?
Dude, you're already like 5 curse words in. At this point,
It's fine.
I was like catching myself there for a moment. But yeah, we kicked around this idea after summer of 2020, started putting together the pieces for like the name, contacting folks like Riss, who I knew who had met through Spirit Squadron, and then Sarah Colossi, who's one of our other admins and co-founders, who we all had our own point of views to and thoughts on the soccer scene. We thought, let's just tag up and do this. And so over the course of those months, figuring out the name, the identity, the look, the logo, all that stuff came together. And then finally went public February 2021, if I remember this correctly.
Yeah, it was a wild ride.
So within this wild ride, like the name Rose Room Collective, I'm not gonna lie, it's a dope name. Where does that come from? Is that tied into DC, or is that something you guys just thought off the clip? It was just like, that's kind of dope.
So a while back, when we were struggling with the name, one of the people that really was essential to helping us figure it out early on is Rox Fontaine, friend of all of us, I think. He had given some guidelines on how he figured out certain names in the past, and so I looked at different DC historical figures and then started zeroing in on Duke Ellington. And then with Duke Ellington, there's a song, he didn't write it, but he repopularized back in the 30s, I want to say, called Rose Room. And it became associated with him pretty much forever from there on out. And I just thought, oh, that's a great name. Something about that all kind of tied together. And then there's an iconic photo of Duke with a top hat, which in my brain also was A, just looked pretty cool. It's a great photo. And B, kind of was a nice callback to our old DC NASL team, the Diplomats, who also would use like a top hat in their branding. So I thought kind of the way bringing that all together, it just made sense for us, like centering in on Duke Ellington.
Word. That sounds pretty dope. I actually love that when I like the whole historical context of it and everything. Reese, let me ask you a question since Doug had the whole introduction of what it was. How was it introducing this to the Black community? Because as we all know, soccer is somewhat of a foreign language to Black African Americans, not so much our Caribbean brothers or European brothers and sisters. But we introduced this to the Black African American community. What was those conversations like, and were they difficult or were they hard?
I mean, overall, I think it was really a very accepting thing, and people were really excited about it because, like Doug said, there aren't a lot of Black supporters groups out there. So I think it was really just like a very welcoming kind of experience for us. We did have some hard conversations, but nothing to the extent of like being upset about it or like, why are you doing this? Not from the Black community itself, but very, very, very much like excited and just like ready for DC to have a supporters group for Black people and people of color.
Right. Did you guys like bring any new people? Did somebody that was like they've never watched soccer before, but because Rose Room Collective existed, they were like, "Oh, well, this is a safe space. Let me go join this group." Any members like that have joined us thus far?
I would say more probably from like the DC United side. I think we have a lot of supporters who are from the DC United side, and not a whole lot of Spirit supporters, but a lot from the DC United side came into it and kind of are fans of the Spirit now.
That's been one of the fascinating things too. Yeah, I think a lot of people latched on first, like seeing the DC United aspect of it, and then started kind of vibing with the Spirit as they started playing their games, making their run. Everyone's like paying attention to players like Trinity Rodman and realized, oh, this team's also super dope. So now we've kind of got people looking at both of them now.
Yeah, I will say that's one thing that I really credit you guys for. Because if people don't know, like DC United, you got Brian Rava, Screaming Eagles, someone I can't remember the other supporters group name, and then you have Spirit Squadron for the Washington Spirit, but it's not like one supporters group that equally supports both, and you guys are kind of that connecting bridge to both. So within that, like, and I'm pretty sure other cities are different, but is there a big overlap between the two teams, or is it kind of like I support Washington Spirit, but I might have a different MLS team, or I might like DC United, but I might have a different NWS team? Is it how is that dynamic? I can see y'all struggling with this question.
I mean,
struggling with that one.
I have met some. I'm trying to think. I've met some Spirit people that have a different MLS team. I think because there's so many less NWSL teams, there's a few more bandwagon Spirit fans because that's their nearest team. Right. Like I know one person in Spirit Squadron who supports the Spirit, but actually, I think supports the Union on the side for her MLS team. So kind of goes like that. I don't know. I think for DC United side, there were more people that just didn't follow NWSL period. And then they've started getting more fans following the Spirit along with that ride.
Okay. I think that's a testament to kind of like having Andy Sullivan, who plays for the Spirit, and her husband is Drew Skundrich. So he plays for DC United. So that's a connecting factor for some people. Yeah, I think Andy has fans here. And then when people found out, oh, her husband just joined DC, that also became a connecting bridge for that scene.
All right, so that makes a lot of sense. So real quick, I want to go back to a point we made. Doug, you mentioned how you guys are coming up on your 1 year anniversary, right, of being founded
back in February.
Right. So this is almost in the midst of COVID. We're coming 6 months after the George Floyd decision. All this stuff. Did any of those events impact what made Rosewood Collective?
For me personally, it was when DC United painted "I Can't Breathe" and BLM at Audi Field. I was invited back when I interfaced more with Screaming Eagles to come help paint that. And my thought was, okay, DC United, if you're going to paint stuff like that, you better actually be committed to change. Don't just paint that shit there and then forget about it 6 months later. Like, actually commit. That was the thing that was kicking around in my head. And I also didn't. I'm trying to be careful with my wording here. I feel like I should have seen more supporters backing that message, and I didn't. So I thought, screw it. That's also part of my motivating factor for helping get Rose Room off the ground.
No, Reese, let me ask you this. Hearing Doug say that, how difficult is that for, or how hard is that to hear that, like, the club is, and we've all seen it, we've all dealt with it, where like the club is out here like, oh, we support BLM or we support this and we support that, but then they kind of never have the follow up action behind it. Like they throw this one big thing at you, but then there's no tangible things behind it that leaves a lasting impact.
Um, Honestly, it's really exhausting. It's really tiring to watch a team that you support say, "We support you and we support Black Lives Matter," like, and we're gonna do these things, and then 5, 6 months down the road, I see nothing else. And it's kind of, I will say, to the Spirit's testament, they did have conversations with us about what are things that we can do better to, support you guys. And I will say, they did their warm-ups, they were protect Black players. That's something that they continuously did throughout the season. But I will say that's probably the one big thing that I can remember, and Doug, correct me if I'm wrong, that they did throughout the season.
Yeah. And this is kind of, I don't want to jump too ahead of ourselves, but that was a big factor of why we were such huge fans of Tegan McGrady and why she was so important to us. She was a connecting bridge to a lot of these things, and why her recent trade to San Diego was so painful on that side.
Still hurts.
It always sucks to lose a club icon. It always sucks.
Man,
it still hurts.
It's going to hurt for a while.
Oh, so getting into the nitty-gritty of everything, obviously we know this past year, Washington Spirit just won NWSL Cup, so congrats to you guys. Doug, I just want you to know that gift of you will live forever. It will live forever. For those who haven't seen it, Doug's arms was an expressed emotion of, I'm here, I don't know what to do, so they were just waving all over the place.
I loved it so much.
I shout out to Anibal Roldan. I love that man. God damn it. I saw that. I was like, oh, this is here forever. I knew that immediately when he posted that.
Oh yeah, that's there forever, my man. But let me ask you guys this. What was it? How was it supporting a team that had so much turmoil with the ownership group, ex-players, things like that? How was that for you guys?
Riz,
it was like very, like I said, exhausting to watch them continuously go through thing after thing after thing, but then to also kind of see them take that and then use it on the field. And they never lost a game after Chris took over. And the fact that they made it all the way to the championship after everything that they've been through, and they're probably still not done. It's kind of crazy. Like, you've gone through all of this and you still managed to win a championship. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah. I was going to say, it's not even over yet, considering trying to watch all my words. Dude has not sold. Yeah. I'm being almost too nice to him. It's still not over yet, but to go back on it, yeah, it's been absolutely insane this year. I was the one that brought in that sign into Audi Field and almost got kicked out by the ownership. That was kind of a crazy day, and so just keeping that in mind of like, I've had a moment where I think
we need to hear this story. You can't just say that and be like,
and you just kind of breeze over it.
No, I need to hear this.
Okay, I guess for folks that didn't hear what happened, the reporting from the Washington Post when Molly Hensley Clancy told Kaya McCullough's story along with the other unknown players about Richie Burke's abuse, and that the higher ups, including the ownership, knew and did not give a shit. That angered everybody here. So I took it upon myself to make a sign that says, sell the team, Steve. Steve Baldwin, unfortunately, right now is still the owner of the team. I brought in my sign, snuck it in to say, sell it. I got in trouble with Audi Field security. First, it was an Audi Field. It was one of the guest services reps for Audi Field that came to talk to me. Then it became another security member, I think from CSC. And then it became a personnel from the team that finally asked, like, hey, can you bring this down? I bit my tongue and I was like, all right, I'll bring it down. And then I tried to put it up for like another 30 seconds, and CSC told me on the moment in a pinch, was like, if that goes up one more time, we have to kick you out of Audi Field. And unfortunately for them, the issue is that Molly Hensley Clancy and another reporter, Kelsey McKinney, were right there, just attending as fans. So they came immediately to talk to me about like, oh, what the fuck just happened? And I told them everything that I've been telling you all now.
Unfortunately for them, that picture went viral. So in asking Doug to take the sign down, you've created more chaos because now it's all over the internet.
Dude did not know. Hello, Streisand effect. Google that shit.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. That's one of the more iconic photos that I remember of this past year. Of what I can remember watching NWSL. That and to protect the players, tifo as well. So kudos to you, Doug.
I when people have been like, oh, you're famous, oh, your name's all out there, I'm like, I didn't want it to be for this shit. But it's also like, if I have to make my name famous for something, I guess I would rather it be for this, to be like, I don't want this piece of shit running the team anymore. I don't want this abuse here. Like, get that trash out.
Yeah, no, most definitely. Like, unfortunately, thank God, this has to happen with Richmond, but I can only imagine like how conflicted it would be. If you've seen incidents down like in Charlotte where the owner says some racist and fans is just like, all right, I cut ties, like I'm done, and they go to another club. You guys stick around for the players, but don't support the ownership. And there's no right or wrong way to do it because it's almost like a family member. Like if a family member done something wrong, but in public it's like, I gotta have your back. In some instances, there's some instances where you completely cut ties and you're like, I'm done. But I just imagine how tough that is for you guys. Not only because you started this group to support them, but the lines get blurry and muddy when they do something that is egregious and wrong. So,
yeah, it's been a lot of. Sorry,
no, you're good. It's hard to support them and to pay for tickets and buy merch, and you're giving the owner money when you're actively saying, I don't want you as an owner, you need to go. So it's kind of hard to say where do you draw the line? Do you stop going to games? Do you cancel your season tickets? It's very hard to draw the line.
No, understandable, very understandable. So moving on for next week, because I know that sucks. So I want to specifically talk about this magical playoff run that you guys had. And one thing for me, you guys know I cover the sport in USL League One, but I feel like something that's not very done well in lower league soccer or women's soccer specifically is we don't give enough love and coverage or tell the romantic stories. And let's be real. The Spirit was a very romantic story. For everything that happened to this team, no one would have blamed them if they would have been like, all right, we're done. Like, I'm cashing out. And they kind of all pulled it together. You guys seeing it in first person. What was the mentality of this team? What was the projection of this team?
Riss, you want to take that one?
I'll let you go.
Sure. You just got kind of the sense of like, we're not going to let that shit stop us. It was kind of their mentality, and they were still very much communicating like, we totally understand the actions the supporters are taking, but if y'all are still able to back us, that would be top level. Like, they were still hoping they could get support from us somehow, so we kind of had to walk that line. But I got the sense from like different interviews I've read with the team in print and in video, they just kind of rallied together and say, we're not going to let this bullshit stop us. Like, we're going full steam ahead no matter what dipshit owner tries.
Yeah, and I think it is a testament to taking it back to Chris Ward. They started with Richie, and obviously it was a very toxic environment, and Chris took over, and it kind of just was like a 180 of like just having a really positive environment and him actually caring about the players, because that's something that's really important. And I'm pretty positive that Richie didn't care about the players. And it's very evident when you look back at like interviews from Chris, especially like post game and things like that. It's very apparent that he cares about the players. So I think that's definitely a testament to them being able to do so well in the second half of the season.
Okay. So also, we kind of move from on the field stuff because I know I'm just kind of low spirit, but I want to get back to talking about you guys supporters group. what are some things that the Rose Group Collective do in the community to kind of spread their name and their message?
For now, we're just trying to focus on getting our name out there and have a safe space for supporters to gather in. We have a private Slack that we make it very clear for individuals that identify as non-white folks can come in. Admittedly, I've seen some white people apply to get in. And I'm like, I love y'all. I know who you are. Nah, I'm sorry. This ain't for you. Like, appreciate the support. You can find us to support other ways, but that's not a space for you. Sorry.
Yeah.
We're still, and then obviously we back in the Challenge Cup we did the I'm forgetting the Pride Raiser
project.
We did the Pride Raiser for one of the local groups here called Open Goal Project, where they're a group that works with talented kids in the community that say they don't have the funds to play soccer because the things like the health insurance is too expensive, things like the equipment's expensive, they got to figure out rides and stuff. Open Goal takes care of all of that. So all the kids have to worry about and parents have to worry about is play soccer, find the talent out there. And so for the Challenge Cup, we did the Pride Raiser where we put together funds for every Spirit goal scored. All that money went to Open Goal back in, I think that was April. God, that feels like an eternity ago.
April.
That was just this first year. We've been kicking around other ideas for 2022, but haven't figured that out yet.
Okay.
I think a lot of our focus for the first year was just existing.
Yeah,
that's how it always
making it through the year.
It's gonna be there. Make sure that we have at least more than 2 members at games. We need at least 3. Gotta deal with that.
Yeah.
No, I totally understand that. So I want to ask you guys both this question. When it comes to creating that safe space for non-white people, what does that look like for someone that is interested in making a space for them? And I'm pretty sure you guys have gotten the pushback or even question yourself, like, am I doing this the right way? Can you just talk on that a little bit?
I think it was just really important for us to create that safe space for, people of color, because we don't have that. Twitter is an open void, Instagram's an open void, Facebook's an open void, but there's nothing specifically for people of color to have that safe space to talk about soccer, to talk about other things. And I think that was just really important for us, that was a space for just people of color. You can still support us if you are not a person of color, but that is specifically just for people of color.
Okay.
Yeah, I've had moments where I sometimes wonder, like, is this the right approach? Is this the way to go about it? I'm honestly find myself asking that every other day. One person who I asked this even back in Chicago when I saw him is Kyle Carr, who I know you know. And I asked him, was like, how often do you ask yourself if like you're doing the right thing? And he was like, all the time. I was like, okay, great. It's not just me.
I don't know. We all go through it, man. Hey, look, any black person in a supporters group, if you don't find yourself asking the question, like, is this the right move? Or am I going to be judged by this? Something's not right.
I mean, I've definitely gotten judgments and questions of like, why did this thing exist? But honestly, depending on who's asking, like, there's feedback I've seen that I'm like, okay, yeah, you got a very good point. And then there's others that, for lack of a way to say it, I don't need to give a shit about that.
Yeah, no, I totally understand. I totally feel you on that. So obviously we're coming up, I said it before, we're coming up on 1 year anniversary. What is Rose Collective looking to do going into year 2?
Riss, do you want me to?
I mean, I know that we haven't like all fully talked about what we want to do in 2022. I think we kind of want to continue what we have been doing, and probably just to get out into the community a little bit more, pending, like things of COVID and whatnot. But
I think one idea I've had in mind, and one thing I want to do, we were very Spirit centric for the later half of the season, obviously with everything going on. I would like to try to engage more on the DC United side of things, like, because we've had some contact with the Black Player Collective over on the MLS side, and I would love to cultivate a strong relationship with like 1 or 2 of the DC United players, like we did with Tegan on the Spirit side, and we just haven't had the bandwidth to do that. and ideally down the line we can figure that one out. There's been some stuff there, but there's only so many hours in a day, and we only have had so much time, especially the way this year went.
Yeah, very true. Very true. I feel you. Any last things before we wrap up?
If you haven't donated to the Black Women's Player Collective, do that.
Riss is
Real quick, can we talk about that because no one else would
yes,
know better?
let's talk about that. So the Black Women's Player Collective is a group of women from the league who decided to make this collective. And if you haven't donated, you should probably go ahead and donate because that helps them. I will say we actually did. It was something really cool we did for my birthday. Actually, I said, I don't really want anything, but I'm going to ask you to donate to the Black Women's Player Collective. And I think I didn't get totals from everyone who donated to it, but I want to say we got a little bit over close of like $500.
That is amazing.
And that was not planned. Like Riss
it was not planned at all. I just I threw it off the wall. I was like, hey, let's do this. And it kind of just spiraled. And like I said, I didn't get totals from everyone, but it definitely got over the $500 range.
That's what's up. That's amazing, especially doing it off the cuff. I give my hats off to you and everything like that. Oh, well, that actually brings a question in my head. I'm sorry. I know I was about to wrap up the show, but I feel like this is an important question. For someone such as myself that doesn't have a local women team to support, that is new to women's soccer, because as some media folks don't want to tell you, there's a huge difference between men's soccer and women's soccer. There are two totally different sports. You have to treat them as such. As someone that focuses on the men's sport, that is looking to get into the women's sport, not dominate, but looking to enjoy it and understand it, how would you explain it to them how to understand the game of women's soccer, but also to be intentional in that support as well?
Oh, that's a good question.
That's a good question.
I don't know if Riss has the answer yet.
I guess I would say if you don't have a team that's kind of close to you, or if you do, I would say at least go to one game, see how the what is the word I'm looking for? The vibe is. If we're gonna say check the vibe, and if you like it, continue to watch it. There's multiple ways for you to watch it. They stream on Twitch. They stream on Paramount Plus. They have games on CBS when they are on CBS. There's definitely ways for you to check it out. It's not like a secret.
I think on what I've noticed in the differences between men's and women's soccer club scenes is that there is a stronger sense of, I think there's been a stronger sense of community on the women's side among supporter groups, just knowing because especially this year showed there's so many common battles everyone's had to face that everyone's realized, okay, yeah, we might be enemies for 90 minutes, but off the field, everyone's been pretty chill with each other. And I noticed generally a stronger sense of community, especially with everything that's been going on this year. I would say, I'm trying to think of a good way to summarize that. There's a little bit, I think, more respect for everybody else across all scenes. Then when the whistle goes, it's all out war, obviously. Seeing people I know this year, like Ebony, we always got along great. Ebony Christmas, for those that are maybe new and not listening, she's an amazing supporter for the North Carolina Courage. Always had a great time before and after games. It's just, once that whistle goes, we don't even know each other.
I don't know you.
Yeah, no, I don't know who you are, but yeah, it's been pretty cool like that this season.
That's how it goes. That's usually how it goes. All right, I promise that was the last question I have. For those that are looking to get in contact with Roseroom Collective or are looking to start their own supporters group, where can they reach out to you guys at, and also Roseroom Collective on the socials?
Roseroom socials, we're on Twitter and Instagram. It's Roseroom Co. on Twitter, Roseroom Collective on Instagram. Our socials are there. And then I'm at DReyes on Twitter.
And then I am at Riss_Willett.
Bet.
The newly married
yes,
newly married. Hey.
Congratulations always. Just want to say thank you guys for taking the time out of your day for hopping on the pod with us. I know you guys probably had to fight through a little bit of DC traffic, but I thank you guys for it.
I appreciate you having us.
Yeah, thank you. I've been a fan of this show for a while, so it's exciting to be here for the first time.
Listen, I'm glad to get back on it. Second time's a charm.